All right, we're gonna look at renting versus home ownership. So, I'm hoping you don't hear my neighbors in the background. I don't know what the heck they are doing, but it is really loud for me inside my house. I'm hoping it's not picking up on the video. But, all right. So, we don't really talk too much about renting. We look more at the home ownership side of things. So, renting is you could rent a house or an apartment, a townhouse, any kind of place of living, to be honest. But renting, you are paying a fixed amount, and it has whatever fees are like included in it. So you could have a payment of, I'm going to go really cheap, of $600. Your landlord could say that water and electric and like utilities and stuff are included. Or they could say, hey, your rent is that $600, but everything else is on your own. Just depends on the place that you are going to, right? And then these days, rent is almost as much, if not more expensive, than owning a house. I got lucky in, I guess, my lifespan. In college, I was paying under $600 in rent. I went to App State and I lived off campus for 4 of the 5 years I was there, and I stayed with the same landlord. And he was the landlord who, like, even though I moved to 2 different units, like within my stay with him, once I was locked into a price for my first time, so it was like $595, and everything but internet was included. That price stayed with me. So even when I moved units, the price I locked in from, this would have been 2015, stayed with me the entire time I was there. So he was a good guy. But not every place is like that. Like some places you've been staying at for, however many years. And when you go to get your new contract, they're like, actually, we are upping the prices. So if you want to stay here, then your price is going up. And that is not okay. But I don't know what we can do to fix that. But the home ownership side of things. I own a home, and I am not sure I'm even like an expert on home ownership, to be honest. But they just tell me what to pay, and I pay it. And I didn't know. And again, this is just silly me, I guess. I thought when I bought my house and my house payment was $996, that it was gonna be $996 a month for the 30 years I have this loan. That is not the case. There are some other things that go into the house, like your taxes, that you like try to be paying throughout the year. They try and guess what the taxes are. And then, end of year comes, they get what the actual taxes were. And if you were overpaying, then your house payment goes down. But why in the world would somebody overpay, right? It's usually an underpayment. So then your house payment goes up to adjust for that. So yeah. So it's nice while it lasts, but yeah. Okay, so we can still use the same payment methods to get the actual payment. And then we can find out how much we got to pay, and then how much we'll end up paying. I think here's where it's going to be an eye-opener, because I didn't do it in the lessons beforehand with the loans and the cars and stuff like that. But we'll do it here. And this is, again, probably the eye-opening part of things. So, okay, so let's do this. We're buying a house. We have a 30-year mortgage. The house is this much interest. Let's find the monthly payment. So let's throw it into our formula. So 0.048 divided by 12. And then we're doing it every month for 30 years. And then the amount is $132,650. All right, so plugging that in gives me a monthly payment of $695.97. So, assuming this is what we are going to be paying, let's assume we are also paying the exact amount we need to in our taxes and our stuff like that. So let's figure out how much we would actually have been paying. So the total payment for this loan, again, no changes, is our payment amount. So $695.97. We're doing that every month, right? So there's 12 months in a year, and we're doing that for 30 years. So let's multiply that all together. So $695.97 times 12 times 30. That gives me a lot of money. So $250,549.20. So basically, that's how much I've paid on this original loan. Okay? So the total interest that you're paying is what you totally paid over the course of the loan minus the loan amount. So $250,549.20 minus the $132,650. All right, I get $117,899.20. All I have to say to that is yikes. That is a lot of money to be paying to have to borrow that much. And unfortunately, I'll speak from a personal experience. I do not have $132,000 to just give to the owner of the house to buy the house. So I am stuck in getting a loan and getting it financed and having this interest. So yeah, that sucks to be having to pay all that much. I'm actually afraid to look at my personal one, but you know, it is what it is, right? All right, this escrow payments is what I was kind of talking about with the taxes and stuff. So mortgage companies have you pay into an escrow account, which is just a savings account maintained by the mortgage company. So your insurance payments are going to be set up by the insurance, and then the mortgage payments are going to pay them on time from you from that escrow account. And then the property taxes is what, potentially changes each year. And so the assessed value is the estimation of the value of your house, not necessarily how much you purchased it for or what the value is. So your property taxes are going to be paid on time by the mortgage company from your, that was something I already said. So yeah, they take a guess on how much your taxes are going to be based off like the previous year, and then you're paying each month through your payment. So remember how the amortization table had your monthly payment, the amount that was actually going to the principal, the amount that was going to interest, and like your balance? Well, in a house payment, you have stuff that's going to the principal, you have stuff that's going to interest, stuff that's going to the escrow account, and so there's another column in there. So yeah, let's look at this scenario here. All right, so we're going to buy a house, a mortgage of $108,450, 6% interest for 30 years. The assessed value of her home is $75,600. Her property taxes come to 5.7% of her assessed value. And Jenna also is paying her home insurance every 6 months, which is $744 per 6 months. How much, including escrow, is she paying per month? Let's figure out the taxes and insurance. So the tax part, right? We have that $75,600 of the assessed value, 5.7% of that. Let's see what that is. $75,600 times 057 gives me 4,309.2. And that's for the whole year. So let's take this number and divide it by 12 to find out how much is going in each month. So 359.10 per month, right? All right, the insurance can go like this. We're doing $744 every 6 months. So I could do it by year and say, hey, I'm going to multiply that by 2, and then I'm going to divide that by 12. Or, because it's $744 twice a year, what if I just divide this by 6? I can find the per month from there. So 744 divided by 6 gives me $124 a month. And then we have the payment on the actual loan part. So let's plug that in our formula. Equals payment 6% for 30 years of $108,450. That gives me a payment of $650.21. So if we're talking monthly payment, it's that $650.21 plus $359.10 plus $124. And we get, let's see, that'll be 13, 10, 13 again, 6, 9, 10, 11. 1,133.31. Which I guess it's not a terrible monthly payment if we think about just current year, current data. All right. So that's the basics of the home ownership loan part. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into Google Sheets, and I'm going to create a amortization schedule for 15 years, 30 years, and the new proposed 50 years. But I'm going to do the back end of it. If you want the details of how I am creating all of this, let me know, and I will gladly make a separate video on how I had done all of it. And I can definitely do that for you. But I just want to show you, because I want to equip you with the knowledge of if you are going to go buy a house and they are trying to get you to look at all these different options. While it might show you that your payment for a 50-year mortgage is lower, what you're going to be paying in interest is disgusting. So I just want to show you visually the whole schedule for a 15-year, 30-year, and 50-year, and show you the amount you'd be paying in interest. And I guess something else, I'm trying to see if it's on here at all. No, we don't go into too many details for this class. In the loan section, we had talked about very briefly about the different types of loans where we had fixed rate and interval rate. With houses, you kind of get to, you get to look at your options, but if you do a 15-year, usually that comes with the variable interest rate. So for me, and me personally, I did a 30-year fixed one. Because that way my interest is going to stay the same no matter what happens. My rate is locked in. If you do a variable one, then, every so often it could change by up to 2% in either direction. So if I was paying 5% interest, 3 years go down, whatever, it could be hey, you know what? Interest rates have gone up. You're now at 5%. So you're never guaranteed that 3% again, or wherever what did I say? I said 5%. So 7%. You'd never be guaranteed that 5% again. So just depends. But I will say this. If you are buying a house and you don't plan to stay there for more than 5 years, maybe I'll use my sister as an example. She bought a condo while she was working on her PhD. And she knew that when she finished her PhD, she was not going to be living in that same area. She was going to go find a job elsewhere. And so when she bought her condo, she did she did the variable rate one because she knew the interest rate would be locked in for the 5 years she was going to be there. I think she was really only there 4, but she got a better rate because of it being variable. And that's also kind of where they get you to. But she knew she wasn't going to be staying there long. So she knew it would not affect her when it came to like the refinancing part of it. And so that worked out for her. Now, for me, I bought my house in 2020. I have well, he's now 6, 6-year-old, and I don't really plan on moving, at least until he is out of the school system. So for me, a 30-year made more sense, because I think I bought it when he was like maybe 1. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to be here for at least like 18 years. So might as well do the 30-year and have it be a fixed rate so that I know, what I'm paying and whatnot. So all right, I'm gonna pause the video on my end. It's gonna jump screen for you, but I'm gonna make the schedule so I can show you what each one looks like. Okay. All right. So what I have done is I did something where we're gonna make a big assumption. I think the message still stands, but big assumption is that let's say we are buying a house for $150,000. Now, whether or not that is actually reasonable is a different story, but we're going to run with it. We have found a house that we love. It's $150,000. We got an interest rate locked in for each of these scenarios of 5.75%. And then I've done it for each scenario. So I'm doing the first one for 15 years, the second one for 30 years, and this last one a proposed 50 years. Okay? So if we are looking at just these numbers, don't even look at the bottom half. So all right, for 15 years, we're going to be paying $1,200 a month. For 30 years, only $875. And then for 50 years, $762. Now, maybe at face value, you're like, oh my gosh, $762. That's amazing. I want to do it. I want to do it for 50 years. Maybe it's me as a numbers person. Yes, there is a huge difference between $1,200 a month and $760 a month. Huge difference in that short-term payment, right? Now, unfortunately, we might be in scenarios where we have to choose certain things that are not in our best interest. But looking at these and looking at it as oh my gosh, there's like a $300 difference in that $1,200 and then that $800, that $875. But if we look at the long run, I think that might help us make smarter decisions. So what I did is I made the amortization table just for the first year. So yeah, we're paying a lot per month with this $1,200, but after a year, yeah, it's not paid off a lot, but we start off with $150 and now we're at $143, right? Okay, not great, not terrible, but getting there. With the 30-year, we have a less payment. So we're still starting off with that $150,000. And after 1 year, we've only put down about $2,000 versus the 15-year, we've put down $7,000. And then the 50-year. Yep, start out with $150,000. And after a year of these payments, we haven't even hit $1,000 in payments towards that principal. Okay. Oh, you can see what I didn't want you to see yet. So what I did is I then found, instead of doing the table all the way out to watch all the numbers go where they go, I just said, you know what? We're making a big assumption that this payment with our taxes are the same each time, everything's perfect, whatever. How much we're actually paying, right? So you borrowed that $150,000. With the 15-year loan, we had a total payment of, and I'll zoom in so you can't see the 30 yet. We had a total payments of $220,000 basically. So the amount that went to interest was $74,000, right? So you're paying an extra $74,000 just to borrow that $150,000, right? Let's look at the 30-year. Typically, the one you go for, it is going to be more in interest. But that's the name of the game. So, all right. So we had at that $875, we made total payments for $300,000, meaning the amount of interest was $165,000. So in the end, you paid double for borrowing this $150,000 because you were paying an extra $165,000. And I'm just going to say it gets worse with the 50. Like, not to be blunt, but I don't care how low that monthly payment is for a 50-year loan. The amount you're going to be paying in interest is so disgusting, it's not even funny. So, okay, great. $762, a total payment of $457,000. And then the amount to interest is $307,000. So that's actually insane. So I hope that even just looking at these numbers, I'm hoping that you would never want to do the 50-year. I'm hoping that is so unattractive to you that it doesn't matter if this payment here was $5 a month. Well, okay, maybe I don't want to say that. You'd have to borrow a small amount for your monthly payment to be $5 a month. But just saying, if you only were paying $5 a month on this loan, it would take 4 freaking ever to not only pay off, but like you're paying so much in interest, it's not worth it. You could arguably say that with the 30-year, it's not worth it either. I'm afraid to look at what my actual numbers are. But yeah, it's where they get you. And you can play around with numbers if you want to find out what is going on with maybe your personal scenario. But yeah, I hope that kind of is like an eye-opening thing going on. The more you pay to your loans, the faster you can. It's going to help you out in the long run. There's something called a principal-only payment. So you can make the monthly payment that you need to make, and it's got to go principal, interest, all the things it has to do. But if you can make additional payments, no matter how small they are, make those payments and make them principal only, because then it'll pay down just the principal. Because what's happening is the way the interest works is it's working off your balance. So your interest comes from the balance that's there. So if you're able to make principal only payments, that's going to lower these balances here faster. And so your interest, I messed up here. Is going to help that balance go down faster, your interest go down faster. So if you can do additional payments, that's amazing. I'll go from a personal perspective. I got into some credit card debt, and I decided, let me just get a personal loan, pay it off, and then pay off on the loan. So my loan payment a month is like $300 a month. Well, before I was paying to my credit card, I was paying like $1,500 to it a month to pay it down. And so I'm going to keep that same $1,500 payment, but I'm going to pay it down to the now loan instead. And I think they gave me a five-year loan. But anyway, if the minimum payment is $300 and I'm able to put an extra $1,200 towards the principal, this loan is going to be paid off way faster than 5 years. And I'll like, the interest is still not going to be fun, but it is what it is. But yeah. So, all right, if you have any questions about these home loans, or if you want me to show you how I made this table from scratch, I would be more than happy to do that in a separate video for you. So if you have any questions, let me know.